Good morning, students. We were studying chapter number 4, electoral politics. In the previous lecture, we had studied about what is the meaning of election, what makes an election democratic, why election in India are democratic. We had studied about the voters list, reserved constituencies, why elections are necessary. Okay, now we are going to study what is the note or topic of election campaign. Now, why why is election campaign useful? Okay, the main purpose of election is to give people a chance to choose the representative, the government, and the policy they prefer. Obviously, conducting elections give the people that they can choose the representatives what they want. They can choose the government which they want, and they can decide their policies, that what the government should make policies for the welfare of the people. Therefore, it is necessary to have a free and open discussion about who is the better representative, which party will make a better government, or what is the good policy. Okay, so for this, for making good policies for a better government and a correct or able representative, there is very necessary to have a free and open discussion. A discussion should be done so that a better candidate can be chosen, a better government can be made, and a good policy can be made. Okay, this is what happens during election campaigns. Means election campaigns are done just with a purpose, so that a correct representative can be chosen, the correct government can be chosen, and the best policy can be made. Okay, so in a country, such campaigns take place for a 2 week period between the announcement of the final list of candidates and the date of polling. Date of polling means the date of voting. Okay, in these campaigns take place when first the announcement of the final list of candidates, that you have a final list of candidates, and the announcement of the final list of candidates is done, that these are the candidates which are going to be standing in the elections. Okay, and the date of polling, that the date of voting, when the people will vote. Between this time period, these election campaigns are done. During this period, the candidates contact their voters, political leaders, and address elections, meetings, and political parties mobilize their supporters. Now, during this time period, what happens? This time period, the candidate contact their voters. Those people, they come in contact with the people, okay, who are going to vote. They address their election meetings. They contact the political leaders so that they can conduct election meetings also. And political parties mobilize the supporters. Okay, they help to mobilize their supporters. Okay, now this is also that when newspapers and television news are full of election related stories and debates. But election campaign is not limited to these two words only. Political parties start preparing for election months before they actually take place. Okay, when elections take place, before 1 month before these election campaigns start doing. Now, according to our election law, no party or candidate can. Now, there are some views, or there are some different basics given, that people cannot, and that according to our election law, we have some election laws. According to this, no political party or candidate can bribe or threaten voters. Means वो किसी को पैसे नहीं दे सकता, ना वो उसे डरा सकता है वोट करने के लिए. अपील टू देम इन द नेम ऑफ कास्ट और रिलीजन, कि मैं आपके कास्ट का हूँ, आपके रिलीजन को आपको मेरे को वोट करना होगा. सो दे डू कैन नॉट अपील टू देम इन द नेम ऑफ कास्ट एंड रिलीजन. दे कैन नॉट यूज़ गवर्नमेंट रिसोर्सेज फॉर इलेक्शन कैंपेन. मतलब गवर्नमेंट यूजेस को बिल्कुल भी वो यूज़ नहीं कर सकते इलेक्शन कैंपेन के लिए. And spend more than rupees 25 lakh in a constituency for a Lok Sabha election और rupees 10 lakh in a constituency in an assembly election. मतलब कि 25 लाख से लोकसभा इलेक्शंस के लिए 25 लाख से ज़्यादा उनका खर्च नहीं होना चाहिए, एंड असेंबली इलेक्शंस के लिए 10 लाख से ज़्यादा खर्च नहीं होना चाहिए. So these are some foundations which have been made, that whenever party or a candidate conducts an election, okay, whenever they are standing in the election, they cannot do these things. Okay, then we have that they cannot use any place of worship for election propaganda. मतलब कि कोई ऐसी जगह या temple, masjid or church, they cannot use these places of worship for their election campaigns. Then they cannot use government vehicles, aircrafts and officials for election. उसमें क्या होगा, वो किसी गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स को या ये इस गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स को या एयरक्राफ्ट्स को या व्हीकल्स को, इन सब को भी यूज़ नहीं कर सकता. देन once elections are announced, ministers shall not lay foundation stones of any projects, take any big policy decisions or make any promises of providing public facilities. मतलब कि एक बार इलेक्शंस की अनाउंसमेंट होगी कि इस दिन इलेक्शन है, तब वो मिनिस्टर्स जो भी है वो बड़े बड़े प्रोजेक्ट्स नहीं ले सकते. यू नो कि मिनिस्टर्स टेक बिग बिग प्रोजेक्ट्स जस्ट टू, मतलब कि लोगों को वो इन्फ्लुएंस कर सके. टेक एनी बिग पॉलिसी डिसीजंस, दे कैन नॉट गिव प्रोमिसेस ऑफ प्रोवाइडिंग पब्लिक फैसिलिटीज टू ऑल द people. Okay, so these are some laws which the candidate or the political party has to follow. Then here we come to the polling and counting of votes. What is the meaning of polling and counting of votes? The final stage, okay, the final stage of an election, the final stage of an election is the day when voters cast or poll their votes. That day is election day. Which day is called as election day? The day when the voters cast or vote them. जिस दिन वोटर्स अपने वोट को देते हैं उसी दिन इलेक्शन डे कहते हैं. Okay, every person whose name is on the voters list can go to a nearby polling booth situated usually in a local school or a government office. जहाँ पर उनका नाम रजिस्टर होता है वो अपने नज़दीकी पोलिंग बूथ पे जाकर वोट करते हैं. वंस द वोटर गोज इनसाइड द बूथ, द इलेक्शन ऑफिशियल आइडेंटिफाई हर, पुट अ मार्क ऑन अ फिंगर एंड अलाउ हर टू कास्ट हिज वोट. जैसे ही वो एंटर करता है उसको आइडेंटिफाई किया जाता है, उस पर मार्क लगाया जाता है उसके फिंगर पर, ताकि वो दूसरी बार भी किसी को वोट न दे सके, और उसको भेजा जाता है. An agent of each candidate is allowed to sit inside the polling booth and ensure that the voting takes place in a fair way. Means the agent of a candidate is also sitting there just because that, so that the election can be in a fair way. ठीक है, okay. So this was with polling and counting of votes. Then we have, okay, so this was with, earlier the voters used to indicate who they wanted to vote by putting a stamp on the ballot paper. पहले क्या सिस्टम था, बैलेट पेपर पे वोट करने का स्टैम्प, कि स्टैम्प लगाया. बैलेट पेपर इज अ शीट ऑफ पेपर ऑन विच द नेम्स ऑफ द कंटेस्टिंग कैंडिडेट्स along with party name symbols are listed. Means one side the name of the candidate and the other side the symbol and the party names. But now electric voting machines are used to record votes. Here you just have to press a button and your vote is casted. The machine shows the name of the candidates and party symbol. Independent candidates too have their own symbols allotted by election commission. All that the voter has to do is to press the button against the name of the candidate she wants to give a vote. Means you have the candidates names and opposite it you have the buttons. So you just have to press the buttons and the vote is casted. Once the polling is over, all over the EVMs are sealed and taken to the secure place. A few days later, on a fixed date, all the EMS from a constituent are open and the votes secured by each candidate are counted. Means like this, all the EMs are secured, taken to a safe place, and they are opened and they are counted. The agents of all candidates are present there to ensure that the counting is done properly. All the candidates means whoever candidates are standing for elections, all the agents of those candidates come together and do the counting so that they can be done properly in a fair manner. The candidate who secures the highest number of votes from a constituency is declared elected. In a general election, usually the counting of votes in all the constituencies take place at the same time, on the same day. Television channels, radios and newspapers report even this event. Within a few hours of counting, all the results are declared. It becomes clear as well to who will form the next government. Okay, so as the votes are counted, it is the votes, the higher number of votes will choose the right candidate. Okay, and you can see in the television channels, so you can listen to the radios, you can see in newspapers. Okay, the description of this event is given and you know that who will form the government or who is chosen to be the representative. Now The next topic here comes is what makes election in India democratic. Okay, how is elections in India makes democratic? Okay, we get to read a lot about unfair practices in elections. Obviously, we have heard many times that in elections unfair practices are done. Okay, newspapers and television reports often refer to such allegations. Okay, newspapers or television, you also see that just for elections, just for winning those elections, some malpractices are done. Okay, unfair practices have been done. Most of these reports are means what false things or what we can say what unfair practices are being done in elections. First is inclusion of false names and exclusion of genuine names in the voters list. First, what they do, they exclude the real name of the voter and they include the false name. Okay. Second, misuse of government facilities and officials by the ruling parties. Okay, whatever government facilities are being done, are being given and officials by the ruling party. Okay, the ruling party misusing of the government facilities. Then excessive use of money by rich candidates and big parties. You should, because there is given a point that you have to spend in Lok Sabha election, you have to spend rupees 25 lakhs, and then assembly election you have to have 10 lakhs. But some rich candidates and some bigger parties um, use excessive of money. Then intimidation of voters and rigging on the polling day. Now what happened? Intimidation of voters means these voters, what they are trying to bribe them, they are threaten them for voting. Okay, so these are some problems which are fair done in this problem. Many of these reports are correct. We feel unhappy when we read or receive such reports, but fortunately they are not on such a scale so as to defeat the very purpose of elections. This becomes clear if we ask a basic question: can a party win an election and come to power not because it has popular support but through electoral malpractices? This is a vital question. Obviously, if you are doing malpractices, can a party come to power? No. Okay. Now, this was with the what makes election in India democratic, and what were the unfair practices which are being done in time of elections. Now we have Independent Election Commission. Okay. Very few election commission in the world have such wide-ranging powers as the Election Commission of India. Means very few election commissions are there which have wide-ranging powers. Means which have very much powers as the Election Commission of India has. Okay. One simple way of checking whether elections are fair or not is to look at who conducts the election. Are they independent of the government? Or can the government or the ruling party influence or pressurize them? Do they have enough powers to be able to conduct free and fair elections? Do they actually use the powers? The answer to all these questions is quite positive for our country. In our country, elections are conducted by an independent and very powerful election commission. Okay, elections are conducted by whom? Election commission. It enjoys the same kind of independence that the judiciary enjoys. Means whatever powers judiciary has, the same powers are held by these election commission. The chief election commission is appointed by the President of India. But once appointed, the chief election commissioner is not answerable to the President of the government. He is appointed by the President, but he is not answerable to him. Even if the ruling party or the government does not like what the commission does, it is virtually impossible for it to remove the CEC. Means if you are not, we can say if you are not okay with the policies or if you are not okay with the ruling party or the government, you cannot remove the CEC, means the chief of the election commissioner. Okay. Now, election commission takes decision on every aspect of conduct and control of elections from the announcement of election to the declaration of results. From the announcement that election will be held on this day to the declaration of results. Whatever decisions are taken, okay, on the every aspect of conduct and control, that how the elections will be conducted and what control can be done. It implements the code of conduct and punishes any candidates or party that violates it. These are some functions which are of election commission. Okay, that it implements the code of conduct and punishes any party that violates it. But if any candidate or party is going against the code of conduct, then it's punished by During the election period, the election commission can order the government to follow some guidelines. Okay. To prevent use and misuse of governmental power to enhance its chances to win elections or to transfer some government officials. Means what is that time that during today the election period, what can happen? The election commission can give order to the government that they can follow some guidelines. They can prevent use. Okay, they can prevent use and misuse of governmental power to enhance its chances to win election or to transfer some government officials. When on election duty, government officers work under the control of the EC and not the government. Okay, whenever these government officials are in the election duty, what they do, they work under the control of the EC. Means whatever election commission says, they have to do that. They are not under the government. Okay, so in the last 25 years or so, the election commission has begun to exercise all its power and even expand them. It is very common now for the election commission to reprimand the government and administration for their lapses. When election officials come to the opinion that polling was not fair in some booths or even an entire constituency, they order a repoll. Means if they are not happy with the means if the people, okay, इलेक्शन ऑफिशियल्स कम टू एन ओपिनियन दैट पोलिंग वॉज नॉट फेयर, मतलब कि अगर इलेक्शन ऑफिशियल्स की एक ओपिनियन बन गई कि पोलिंग जो थी, वोटिंग जो थी वो सही नहीं थी, तो उनको वापस से रीपोल किया जाता है. The ruling parties often do not like what the EC does, but they have to obey it. Means whatever, some people do not like what the election commission is doing, but the election commission, but they cannot disobey it. Okay, they have to obey them. This would not have happened if the EC was not independent and powerful. Means election commission is independent and powerful, and so every ruling party, every candidate has to follow the orders of the election commission. Okay, so this was there for today. Thank you.